Hey there, fellow soil enthusiasts. If you've been following along here on Grow with Soil, you know I'm always looking for simple, natural ways to supercharge our gardens. Today, I want to share something that honestly blew my mind when I first tried it. Using rice to attract more earthworms and build incredibly rich soil. Yes, you read that right. That humble grain sitting in your pantry might just be the game changer your garden has been waiting for. I stumbled onto this technique almost by accident a few years back, and now I can't imagine my gardening routine without it. The results speak for themselves: healthier plants, darker soil, and an underground workforce that never clocks out. So grab your favorite gardening beverage, get comfortable, and let me walk you through exactly why this works and how you can start using it today. Before we dive into the rice method itself, let's talk about why we're going after earthworms in the first place. These incredible creatures are essentially free garden laborers working 24/7 beneath your feet. Every time an earthworm moves through your soil, it's creating tiny tunnels that allow air, water, and plant roots to penetrate deeper. Think of them as living rototillers that never need gas or maintenance. But here's where it gets really exciting. Earthworm castings, yes, their waste, are absolute garden gold. These castings contain 5 times more nitrogen, 7 times more phosphorus, and 11 times more potassium than the surrounding soil. They're also packed with beneficial microorganisms that help prevent plant diseases and improve nutrient uptake. When you have a thriving earthworm population, you're essentially running a fertilizer factory right in your garden beds. I've seen beds that were struggling to grow decent tomatoes transform into productive powerhouses within a single season, simply by increasing the earthworm population. The difference isn't subtle, it's dramatic and visible. Now you might be wondering what rice has to do with any of this. Here's the fascinating part. Raw rice acts as a powerful attractant and food source that kickstarts a beneficial chain reaction in your soil. When you bury rice in the ground, it begins to decompose and ferment. This process creates an environment that's irresistible to earthworms, while simultaneously encouraging beneficial bacteria and fungi to flourish. The starches in rice break down into simple sugars that microorganisms absolutely love. As these microbes multiply and feast on the rice, they create a nutrient-rich zone that draws earthworms from the surrounding area. The worms come for the microbial feast and stick around because the conditions are perfect for them to thrive. It's like setting up an all-you-can-eat buffet that also happens to be a 5-star hotel. What really makes this technique brilliant is its simplicity. You're not adding synthetic chemicals or expensive amendments. You're working with nature's own systems, just giving them a little nudge in the right direction. Let me walk you through exactly how I implement this technique in my own garden beds. I've refined this method over several seasons, and I'm confident you'll find it straightforward and effective. Start with plain, uncooked white rice. Nothing fancy, just the cheapest white rice you can find at the grocery store. Brown rice works too, but white rice tends to break down faster, which means quicker results. I typically use about 1 to 2 cups of rice for every 4 square feet of garden bed, though you can adjust based on your specific needs and soil conditions. Dig small holes or trenches about 4 to 6 inches deep throughout your garden bed. I like to space these holes roughly 12 to 18 inches apart to ensure even distribution. Drop a small handful of rice into each hole. We're talking maybe a tablespoon or 2, not entire cups. You don't need to go overboard here. Then simply cover the rice with soil and water the area thoroughly. The timing matters more than you might think. I've found the best results come from applying rice in early spring before planting or in fall after harvest. The soil temperature and moisture levels during these periods create ideal conditions for decomposition and microbial activity. That said, if you're dealing with compacted or struggling soil, don't wait for the perfect season. Start whenever you can. Patience is key with this method, but I promise the wait is worth it. Within 2 to 3 weeks you should start noticing increased earthworm activity near the buried rice zones. I like to do what I call worm checks, gently digging near the treated areas to see who's moved in. The first time you uncover a cluster of happy fat earthworms where there were barely any before, you'll be hooked on this technique just like I am. The real magic happens over the following months. As the earthworm population grows, you'll notice your soil becoming darker, crumblier, and easier to work. Plants in treated areas often show more vigorous growth and deeper green foliage. Water infiltration improves dramatically because all those earthworm tunnels act like tiny irrigation channels. I've had beds where water used to pool on the surface completely transform into well-draining, moisture-retentive soil that plants absolutely thrive in. The change is gradual, but unmistakable. Through trial and error, I've learned a few pitfalls to watch out for. First, don't bury rice too shallow. Anything less than 3 inches deep might attract unwanted surface pests like rodents or birds before the decomposition process really gets going. I learned this the hard way when I woke up to find birds having a field day with rice I'd barely covered. Also, resist the urge to use seasoned or flavored rice. Stick with plain varieties. Salt, oils, and other additives in prepared rice can actually harm soil microorganisms and earthworms rather than help them. Similarly, don't overdo the quantity. More isn't always better, and using excessive amounts can create anaerobic pockets that smell terrible and work against your goals. So, make sure to water adequately after application. The decomposition process really needs moisture to function properly. In dry conditions, that buried rice might just sit there doing nothing for weeks or even months. Once you've got a thriving earthworm population established, you can totally maintain and build on that success. I like to add a layer of organic mulch, shredded leaves, straw, or wood chips to keep the soil surface protected and, provide ongoing food for your underground workers. Earthworms will pull organic matter down into the soil, continuing the improvement process naturally. Consider repeating the rice application once or twice a year, especially in areas that see heavy planting or where you've noticed earthworm numbers declining. Think of it as regular maintenance for your soil's living ecosystem. You can also combine this technique with other soil building practices like cover cropping and compost applications. The rice method isn't meant to replace good gardening fundamentals, it's a powerful addition to your existing toolkit. I genuinely believe this simple rice technique can revolutionize how you think about soil health and garden productivity. It's worked wonders in my own garden, and I've heard from countless fellow gardeners who've experienced similar breakthroughs. The beauty is in its accessibility. Anyone can do this, regardless of experience level or budget. If you found this helpful and want more practical, no-nonsense gardening advice, make sure you're subscribed to Grow with Soil. Hit that subscribe button and share this article with your fellow gardeners who are ready to work smarter, not harder. Together, we're building healthier soil and more abundant gardens, one handful of rice at a time. Happy growing.